Well, I guess I'm talking about anime again. And I'm back with another hot take, burning right off the fucking presses, boys! Love, Chunibyo, and Other Delusions second season, nicknamed Heartthrob, has honestly got to be one of the weakest sequels that I've ever seen to an anime. Which is disappointing because the predecessor was done extremely well. For only being a 12-episode season, it ends in such a complete way, with the main character Togashi learning that changing Rikka, no matter who it's for, isn't healthy. And that's kind of how she got in her Chunibyo phase in the first place. While the audience learns the lesson that Chunibyo doesn't ever go away. It's a never-ending hatred of your past and the feeling to scrub it all away. And we can even use the Western term to describe it, cringe. The show uses only 12 episodes, as opposed to the standard 24, to tell an interesting story that doesn't meander a lot. Lots of times, these kinds of anime will include what's called filler episodes. They're present in almost every genre, but they seem to be a little more prevalent in rom-com series. In a good show, these episodes will include character development to give them some consistent sense of importance alongside the main plotline. But in a lesser show, these episodes will attempt to further our characters' development and who they are as people, but they'll fail terribly. And this is honestly the best way that I can describe Chunibyo Season 2. 12 more episodes of an attempt at character growth that just constantly falls flat on its face. Loose ends from Season 1, like Ishiki's love for Kumin, just gets swept under the rug and gets no further development whatsoever. As a matter of fact, the character of Ishiki is treated more like a running gag than Togashi's only friend outside of the girls. The whole shtick with his character this time around is that he gets darker skin because he works jobs during the summer, and nobody can tell who he is. That is what the character of Ishiki is now. No longer is he the goofball friend of Togashi's who would do anything for him, including pretending to be a pervert just to save his friends from the cops. He's now black. Everybody laugh, guys! The Mori summer issue between Nibutani and Dekomori was going to be resolved, but is undone by 2 episodes solely dedicated to this dumb gag, which just results in Nibutani still being called the fake Mori summer. So I ask, why did those 40 minutes of screen time happen? Then the show does the rom-com cardinal sin. It introduces a childhood friend character for Togashi who's a bit too touchy-feely and causing Rikka to get jealous. So much to the point that there's a misunderstanding. Oh my gosh, I've never seen that in a romantic work a day of my life. Plus, this childhood friend character isn't in love with Togashi anymore like she was in middle school, but her feelings for him are suddenly rekindled for some reason, which are of course resolved by the end of the 22-minute episode. We're not even going to talk about how the only 3 gay characters in the show have absolutely no boundaries and are hella predatory, or the fact that it took this motherfucking show 2 seasons and 2 movies just for the main couple to kiss. The real issue with this sequel is that it constantly tries to break the status quo and do interesting things with their characters, only to brush it off as a joke, or even worse, resolve it by the end of the 22-minute runtime and then act like it never happened. Which is baffling to me, because the first season, except for the less than stellar initial 2 episodes, uses all of its time to further these relationships amongst the show's cast. I became invested in this couple as well as their family and their friends in an extremely short amount of time. The season ends with Togashi and Rikka learning their lesson and running away from the police together as the narrator sums up the meaning of the show. Absolutely nothing else was needed. I'm not against the idea of showing a couple get together and what their relationship is like in the following months. That's interesting. It's something that a lot of works of romantic media miss out on, including my favorite anime of all time, save for one OVA episode. But the original season did just that. It showed how by listening to Toka and putting an end to Rikka's Chunibyo, Togashi just ended up ripping out a part of her personality, and how the best thing to do is just let her sort out her issues in her own way instead of forcing her to submit to what her family wants. So why in the hell does this season even exist? This doesn't mean that a romance series can't have any follow-up material. Suzuka is a very unique case. Its 2 successors consist of a spin-off set in another town, and a semi-sequel focusing on the original couple's daughter. Or Clan Ad, which wasn't a complete story and had tons of loose ends, but After Story closed every last book that was left open, and then some. Essentially, if there's a reason to make a follow-up, or if you want to do it in an interesting way, then I personally believe that that's when a second season is warranted. I am not saying that all sequels cannot be done well, but especially for a romance show that's focused on the process of 2 people learning to love each other, once that's over, there's very little reason to keep this going unless the show was set up that way. And the worst part is that to this day, there's still people clamoring for a 3rd season, despite the overwhelming amount of Chunibyo works that we've actually gotten. That was fucking gross. Hell, even the original light novel concluded back in 2017. This whole craving more and more isn't unique to Chunibyo. Look up any sort of anime within the past 20 years and there are tons of people asking online for new seasons, regardless of the way the show actually ended. It's less upsetting and more just puzzling how people can watch shows like Toradora, a complete 24 episode arc with no loose ends, and expect a season 2 without ever knowing what they'd actually want to see. I don't know if it's because American television has conditioned us to expect season after season of TV shows until it's just a rotten corpse that just keeps on chugging along, or if it's the never-ending revivals of TV shows years and even decades after their expiration date. Regardless, anime fans often want more and more and more sequels for their favorite franchises, without considering the actual material of the show. And while that may work with timeless series like Detective Conan or Doraemon, and even shonen anime like the Big Three, most anime, and I do mean this, most anime do not need sequels. Endings are a divisive topic in the anime community due to their usual nature as adaptations of other works, but I'd like to argue that most anime, at least the ones I've seen, have told a complete story that don't need much more. Unless it had a cliffhanger ending, those can suck my dick. I am not saying that nobody should ever clamor for more of your favorites. But what I am saying is that maybe that quote from Dr. Seuss, "Don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened," has some truth to it. So I urge you, the next time you see an ending to fucking anything, process what you've seen, take it all in, then truly ask yourself, does it really need more? Except for Kingdom Hearts. I could fucking play Kingdom Hearts for the rest of my life. I love that shit. You can give me all the sequels no more. I need them.